Right. This is this is gonna be an interesting video. This might upset some people. And it's just my take on Mortal Kombat 4. It's not all bad, just to give some clarity. But yeah, it's I gotta get this off my chest. Let's check it out. So we are gonna use the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection here because this is the best version of MK4 that we can actually get running outside of running the traditional, like, you know, home ports that we had or MK Gold. So we're just gonna jump in. We might jump into maybe some training mode, you know, for it, so that way we can just sort of talk at our own pace. What stage should we select? My cat's trying to figure out how to sit. I do like this stage, probably the best one. Alternate outfits on or off, rendering scale, of course on 4. Yeah, let's jump in. All right, so first and foremost, let me just fix this up because this is absolutely woeful. Right, I can't handle this screen. I've got to have my wide stuff on. Right. My first major issue, actually, with MK4 is the character roster. Right. So there's a couple of things here. Right. First and foremost, this is the first time in a Mortal Kombat game we actually had a boss character playable inside the roster from the get-go, right? So the problem with having a boss character available is that there's no fear, right? So when you play through the game and you're looking at that tower going, I wonder what they're going to play like, I wonder what they're going to play like, well, you can find out exactly how they're going to play like because you can just load up the character and try it out, right? So this is where, like, Shinnok kind of, like, lost me, you know, as a boss. And he's not overly intimidating anyway. He's basically a Shang Tsung, except he doesn't morph, right? And so, again, not too much imaginations going on with the creation of this character, right? And that really killed it, because for the first time in any Mortal Kombat game up until that point, we never had that. Trilogy was just like an all-in party game, so we don't include that. You might go, yeah, but we had Shang Tsung in MK2 from MK1. Sure, but Shang Tsung was delegated to just a standard character, right? And he wasn't as powerful as he was in MK1. So he was delegated down, all right? Yes, he has his morphs and he's got his fireballs, but he didn't have the power impact, the damage impact from the moves that he had as a boss character, right? And with Shang Tsung in MK2, he wasn't the boss character. Shao Kahn was the boss character, and then we had a sub-boss with Kintaro, alright? So that's why that particular situation is different. And then we get into MK3, we had, with Shao Kahn as the boss character again, different sub-boss with Motaro, and then in Ultimate, and then of course party game with MK Trilogy. And then with MK4, they're like, no. And this is also that's really weird, is that we actually have a boss character, a sub-boss character, that isn't made playable sort of straight out of the gate. There's no Goro here you can go simply select on without going through some sort of, like, you know, particular way of doing it. And I could be wrong here, but I don't even know if he's even available. Is he available on the arcade to play? It doesn't look like he is, actually, right? So yeah, so that's like really weird. So apart from that, the only other character roster issue I have with is this fucking clown here. Right? Now, granted, right, like, you know, it might be okay, I suppose, but like, Reptile, outside, so, and we got this through the 3D era, right? This is another pile of, like, another grain of sand on the heap as to why the 3D era pissed me off to certain degrees, right? Reptile started his de-evolution here. Okay? So we got Reptile great. Like the last version I thought was really fantastic of Reptile outside of MK9 was Ultimate MK3 and of course Trilogy, right? He was just stacked. He was stacked with special moves, really cool combos, nice little pop-up. He was a fearsome character, and he looked great because he still looked like a ninja. Then they de-evolved him to this fucking, you know, marshmallow. right? Sort of character. And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, you know, but he didn't have his force ball anymore. They took his force ball away. All he had was his ass's spit and his little, you know, crawl move that he, you know, ducks under you to replace the slide that he traditionally have. And that's fine, you know, them giving him his own slide version. I'm perfectly fine with that. But it's mostly just the character design. Like, why devolve him, you know, from what he was, right? Especially not just in looks, but also special moves, okay? Um, and so with MK4, like, obviously, like, the music's good, sound effects are good, right? Like, everything sounds, like, really powerful, you know, everything's, like, really fast in this game, you know, which is nice. So we kind of, like, kept up the speed of what actually we had from the previous versions of Mortal Kombat. This is where, again, I think a lot of people, like, lean towards MK Gold, because MK Gold kind of felt like a complete game, right? MK4 kind of feels like it's missing something. Now, MK4 was built off, essentially, was the... So we had the prototype of what they could do with War Gods. And I said this earlier, this is a hot take. I think War Gods was a more complete game, even though it was janky, than, say, MK4. I know it's a bit of a hot take. I may not be able to defend it. But in saying that, though, MK4, like, it did some... I don't even know if it did anything better than the previous 2D games. They just simply made the characters 3D, put them in a 3D world where you can, like, obviously, like, you know, dodge and stuff like that, right? You still had the same combos, you know, similar combo system, which was cool. Obviously, you got the run button that's still in there as well. But, you know, and we got some cool moves like Scorpion being able to do that and stuff like that. We got some new characters that we introduced, which is fine. They've become very beloved characters over time. But I don't really know if it sort of break the mold. Now, obviously, you can withdraw your weapon, right? Which was the first time, the first true time that we actually had full weapon combat in a Mortal Kombat game. You might go, but Scorpion has weapons that come out in his combo in Ultimate MK3, or Cabal's got his hook swords. This is all true, but those weapons truly were tied into the combo, right? They didn't actually run around with a weapon to do that. Now, in saying that, though, I know people will bring up Striker. Striker does have a weapon trip, right? But it feels like a special move, right? It didn't feel like it didn't feel like the character of, say, Striker had this advantage by one of his special moves being a baton trip. He didn't pull out a baton and now use that with a whole new set of moves like they did in MK4, right? And that is the difference here, right? So so that's the thing. Like, with, you know, with this particular you know, the weapon system in this game was that, yes, you could all withdraw your weapon. You know, you could also throw your weapon. All right, you could also pick up your weapon as well, which was cool. But you could also get it knocked out of your hand easily. Unless you're blocking, as soon as they hit you and you're not blocking, you just drop the weapon. So it almost felt sometimes a little cumbersome. It would have been cool if there was a game mode where it would lock you, right? So you'd actually have weapon combat, right? So that would have been kind of cool, right? So you'd start off with your weapon out, because you can still do, like, you know, all your special moves. Right? There's actually nothing stopping you from doing your special moves still, which is, like, really cool, right? But, like, outside of that, it's sort of, yeah, you know, it's a little bit of a cumbersome system. And again, the reason why I say with MK Gold, at least, like, if we go back to the character select screen, at least it sort of felt like, you know, this doesn't feel complete, right? And also the fact of characters like somebody was, I think it was Swaggins that was mentioning earlier in Discord, you know, Jarek was essentially Kano. You know, he was the Kano replacement. He's even got an eye laser fatality, which doesn't make sense, you know. But, you know, there's some really good additions to the roster with Kai, Reiko, obviously, Fujin, Tanya, and Quan Chi. These are all brand new characters, right? Jarek's alright, but again, he's kind of like a Kano, you know. So for me, like, I do struggle right? Let's choose a different stage, right? We'll choose a different stage before we jump in. Let's change it to oh, hang on, sorry, my bad, I messed it up. Hang on. All right, here we go. Stage select. We'll go maybe. Oh, we'll go this one because they also added in something else too, which is actually having like stuff on the stage that you could actually interact with, which was pretty interesting. All right. So for me personally, MK4 kind of feels a little bit like an experiment as well. Like it kind of feels like an experiment. All right. And that's fine. Like obviously you had standard throws, right? But you also had a secondary throw which was like a limb break. Okay, which kind of almost, depending on how fast you were, act like a what do you call it? Oh shit, I missed it. Almost like a stun, right? I think I probably could have added on to that. So let me see if I've got some sauce here. See if I can do something. Oh, almost did it, man. There we go, right? So, so yeah, we can come over here, we can throw stuff, obviously. Like I said, you got the dodge stuff. But there is a little bit of a calamity sometimes. Like, sometimes it doesn't feel as precise as the 3D era games. The combat doesn't feel as... It's fluid, but sometimes feels like you can sort of mess up a little bit. In terms of, like the game feels like it messes up, for you. Which I'm not a big sort of fan of. And again, like I played this a little bit in the arcade, right? Like it's okay. But it's definitely not... It's kind of... It's like the red-headed stepchild, right? It's kind of... It's cool that it exists, right? But I think, especially in this collection, it would have been better if it was a... it would have been better if it was a... MK Gold in there as well, right? Now, one of the other things I do, like I've mentioned, like the music's good, the sound effects are good. It's got all these like really like, funny sounds when they do stuff, which is like really awesome. Actually, if we change over to Raiden, he's got some stuff. It says there are things like, oh, I broke my leg, and stuff like that. It's just crazy shit, right? But yeah, like. Actually, hang on. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Hang on. What do they change his? That's right. I haven't used Raiden in forever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So, suck at that. Right. Right. Like it's just this is just gibberish shit, and it's funny. Like that's part of the charm of Mortal Kombat, right? But. And some of the character designs are pretty good too. Again, like I said, I wasn't a fan of Reptile. Also, things like this where you do a sweep, and they kind of like, depending on which way the kick's going, it'll actually like kick you into the background or the foreground, which is kind of nice, right? And the fatalities were decent too. Like the fatalities weren't too shabby as well. But speaking of fatality, I'll see if I can do this. Hopefully, I can do Quan Chi's one. But there's definitely, and we got one fatalities on, there we go, yeah, make it easy, right? Do it against Cage. It just almost feels like an experimental Mortal Kombat. Does that make sense? Like, it kind of feels like that, right? This is like one of the funniest fatalities in the game, right? Alright. Hang on. Let's go make it. Anyway. So, oh, yeah, just to show you quickly, obviously, like, like, there's some cool stuff. It's got some 2-on-2 combat, which is nice. But MK4 by itself, this is why I always say MK Gold. MK4 by itself, it just feels like something's missing. They also introduced the obvious ability where you can rotate the towers. You know, you got different options here, which is really nice too. By the way, this is here in case anyone see my room Infinite Retro online. That'll be me. But like, it's okay. Like, it's just. I know. There's obviously a lot of people that love MK4, and that's fine. Like, I'll play it. I played the hell out of it when I got the PS1 version. I played the hell out of the PC version when I got it. But it's one of those games where it's like, it's kind of, I can kind of take or leave it, right? Which is why, like, I thought it was so. I mean, obviously, you know, notwithstanding time, right? And I hope that's something they're having a conversation about. But I really hope that, like, I really hope that, you know, there's a discussion going on to get Gold in here. Because Gold's graphics, I could be wrong here in saying this, but if I run Gold on, like, a higher resolution, like, say, 4 times resolution, right? It looks amazing. It probably rivals this. It may not have maybe as much character, like, texture detail, perhaps. And again, I'd have to do a side-by-side. But MK4 feels very complete. You know, we got the extra characters, which was great. Made a big difference, including some secrets, extra stages as well. It almost felt like what MK4 should have been. Just say, like, how MK3 is the same. Now, to be fair, I will be fair here, right? MK3 sort of felt similar in a similar way, right? In the sense that, you know, we got, you know, we got this roster which was somewhat very drastic change from MK2, but it was for me it was enough to keep me locked in, right? Because I was able to replace my main, the Scorpion, with characters like, say, Cyrax or Cabal, you know. And I don't think it was that long after it, you know, that it was, you know, that we got Ultimate MK3 anyway. So obviously there was definitely, like, you know, it was definitely something that was in the works. Just trying to remember his moves. There we go. Now, let's see if I can do something fancy. Hang on. Can I not clip him on that? Wow, I can't. Okay, all right. Now let's see if I can do something. Oh, I hurt my leg. Maybe I can't. Hang on, let me check. No, I can't even add it. It won't let me. Unless I'm doing something wrong here, which is very possible, right? But it kind of, like, I don't know. It kind of feels a little experimental. You broke his back, but he said I hurt my leg, right? You know. So it's sort of, I like, apart from some of the aesthetic choices, which kind of bug me, you know, I look at it and I go, oh, it doesn't beat Ultimate, it doesn't beat even 3, it doesn't beat 2, it doesn't beat 1, you know, it certainly doesn't beat Trilogy, right? And, like, I'll just quickly light up the MK3 roster, right, just as a direct comparison. I definitely, like, when I look at the MK3 roster, right, this, even though we were missing key component characters, we got some villains, obviously Cyber Smoke as well. It gives us that replacement for Scorpion, right? And we got some new characters added in too, which was, like, really, really cool. But it still kind of felt complete, right? So it's kind of, MK4 kind of, I don't know, like, I think because I was still playing Trilogy heavily, you know, so I don't feel like I was, like, missing out on a whole bunch, and with that, so, but yeah, it's Yeah, it's sort of it's very I don't know how to describe it, man. It just kind of feels a little experimenty. Does that make sense? Like it kind of feels like, yeah, we want to push into this 3D modeling space. And that's fine, you know. As you can see, there's not a whole bunch of stages either. So, you know, again, it kind of yeah, it's just, you know, it's just I don't know, like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Sub-Zero.
I don't know.
Shinnok.
It just, you know, if you say, if you said to me, Fate, if you could do away with a character like a game out of the whole collection in the arcade era, it would definitely be MK4, like 100%, right? Like 100%. So and yeah, like even like sometimes moving and stuff, like yeah, look at that, like the camera just goes weird. You know what I mean? Like, and that could be maybe because it's the main version and not the actual like Zeus board. That's doing that. But it's definitely like I'll play it. Like it's not like I sit here and go fuck this game. But it's definitely like there's I just yeah, again, MK Gold feels like it was just it's what it should have been. Right? The additional characters being added in. So what do we get? We got what did we get in there? We got what was it? Katana Melina. Katana Melina. I know I'm getting one off the top of my head. Katana Melina, Cyrax, Sector, and Kung Lao. Right? So those 5 characters, then the Sector was a secret character. So who was Baraka? Yeah, that's right. Sector was a secret character, I believe. Again, because I haven't played it a whole bunch. So we had so Katana, Melina, Baraka. So that kind of ties in Outworld as well as Kung Lao. You know, how was the other? That brain fart. It's like so Baraka, Kung Lao, Katana, Melina, and I literally just said it, having a brain fart right now. Anyway, yeah, that's terrible. I'm a terrible Mortal Kombat fan. Let me just quickly check, right? And then, well, I did say Sector, but that was a Sector as a secret character. So let me just, here we go. Cyrax, yeah, Cyrax, right? Yeah, right. Because interestingly enough, this is the thing, right? When I look at this character roster, like I don't even associate any cybernetics here. Like, there's nothing cybernetic, like even connecting to that old world, like whatsoever. Outside of like obviously like younger brother Sub-Zero, who left the clan, but wasn't cyberized, right? And so it's yeah, it's just yeah, it definitely like yeah, we're definitely missing something here, and it looks like I'm just trying to because I'm trying to see. I think so. Sector was hidden character. I'm assuming Goro was as well. Was there any other secret characters? Oh, Noob Sobot, I think, was a secret character as well, right? But like character models are fine. Like they're okay. You know, like in this game, like they're, and that's one of my favorite throws. Right? Just saying. She's a beast. She is an absolute beast in this. What's all her bloody moves? I can't remember. Right? There we go. What else she got? Hang on. On screen. Combo access. Moves. There we go. Yeah, so she's got a fireball. Oh, she's got a down fireball. Yeah, so she was kind of stacked actually. She was kind of she was almost like a little bit of a Cammy, right? Because she had that, right? Which was pretty crazy. And then of course, obviously, she's got her weapon. So we could argue here that she's Aboriginal. For the whole Tanya debate, we could also argue that she's Aboriginal. So, but yeah, I sort of, I look at the stages and I look at the characters, and yeah, they're okay. But like, it doesn't have the 2D look I got used to. And that's probably the reason why it throws me off. Again, this is just simply just an opinion. You know, for this, but it definitely yeah, there is something that's just kind of like not really. It doesn't make me go, oh yeah, I can't wait to play like MK4, right? But if it was MK Gold in there as well, I'd be like, hell yeah. If they release MK Gold as DLC on day one,
Fight.
like day one. But look at this de-evolved like nincompoop. Look at him. Like it's just like he's just like a dashing punch. Like it's just kind of, you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like it's just kind of strange. Yeah, I don't know. This pisses me off. It pisses me off, man. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can understand. I don't know. I'm probably not like putting it across correctly, but like it aura farmed when it came to like the music, the sound effects, you know, just the general. It still felt like, it feels like Mortal Kombat. It just kind of feels like an experiment. Does that make sense? Right? Whereas, and this is a huge hot take, right? So I've already made one hot take. This is the second hot take. MK Mythologies actually feels more complete than this. So what happened is that like MK Mythologies and MK4 like really tie in with some of the stages and stuff, crossover characters, whatever. But MK Mythologies, despite its dinky gameplay, actually feels like a complete Mortal Kombat game, you know, despite obviously control issues. But in this one, it's kind of like it kind of feels like it was a stepping off point for them and their 3D character models outside of War Gods, and then this is kind of what we ended up with, right? And again, like I said, I'm not against playing it. It's just like I don't really have any sort of like, you know, overt desire to, you know, to sort of like fundamentally understand everything about MK4. However, if MK Gold was in there, yes, right, 100%. So, but anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. I need to hear some opinions on this. I really do. Right, try and win me over further. How about that? So, anyway, guys, catch you next time.